But trams are also just a memory, although they still run in Melbourne and Adelaide. Well, in Brisbane, there is now talk of a comeback, of using trams to rejuvenate the inner suburbs. And as Peter Greer discovered, if the call ever comes, there's one group of citizens who would dearly love to put Brisbane back on track.
It had mystery, adventure, some say even a spark of excitement. A few decades ago, travelling to work in many Australian towns was a lot more romantic than it is now.
This car boarding for Valley Junction, board.
But then in those days, we went by tram. And if some people in Brisbane have their wish, this is how we'll do it again.
There was a time when this was the way to travel in Brisbane. All you did was pay for your fare, one to the end of the line, thanks, and then sit back and enjoy the ride. Of course, the trams are long since officially dead in Brisbane, but it seems that whenever somebody dies, there's always someone who refuses to acknowledge their death. And 22 years down the track, that's exactly what's happened to the Brisbane trams.
The trams trundled off when freeways came along, and only the Brisbane Tramways Museum kept their spirit alive. But lately there's talk of spending millions in federal money to bring the trams back, in their modern day form, of course. And this has really started the memories rolling.
Yes, I remember going to school for a penny and tuppence, and it was an amazing situation to travel to school on these type of vehicles.
Alan Marmont enjoyed the experience so much, he became a fitter in the tram workshops and a fan for life.
It's rather amazing to think in these days of safety-conscious people that drivers were allowed to stand out in the foul weather, in the rain, to drive this machine, and conductors walked along the running board in traffic while it was moving just to collect the fares. They took their lives into their hands for a very small remuneration.
Trams in their various forms were part of Brisbane for more than 80 years, and they weren't like buses or taxis. They had a certain personality, a touch of style.
And I know a lot of the older people nearly cried when they took them off, and they were a wonderful thing, a tram, for moving a load of people quickly. If you had 80 people waiting for a tram and you had to cross the road and couldn't get across for traffic, you would not catch that tram, because there were so many entrances, so many doorways, people were on and away the tram goes. But with a bus, of course, if you had only a dozen people waiting, you could still have plenty of time to get over the road and catch that bus, because the driver had to take individual fares as they entered the bus.
A big fire in 1962 sparked the beginning of the end for the Brisbane trams. At the time, the anti-tram debate was warming up. Then, the Paddington Depot fire came along. 65 trams died.
The council leased buses from Sydney, and they were driven up overnight to put into service, and there were 8 new trams built from the wreckage of the destroyed vehicles. They subsequently went into service as the Phoenix class cars. There were 8 of those.
And that's why some trams have that Phoenix rising on the front?
Yes, on the front of them.
Do you think that was a turning point for the trams in Brisbane?
Oh yes, I think so, because we had started then into a bus fleet. We had always had buses since 1939, and gradually it was increased. I think because the roads were not built to carry both traffic and trams.
The trams rattled on for 7 years, but finally progress overtook them and they disappeared from Brisbane completely. Well, not quite. At the Brisbane Tramways Museum, they live on.
It's a glass bulb mercury arc rectifier. It transforms AC to DC power to power the tram cars. Tram cars were built to operate on DC power rather than AC because the technology in the days they were originally built wasn't up to speed control on AC equipment.
You don't see gear like this these days?
No, it's a real relic from a bygone age when things were built to last.
We're in the main shed at the moment where all the restored trams are. I'll just show you something fairly interesting down the back here. The tram I'm going to show you is tram number 46. This particular tram was scrapped in 1952. It's actually built in 1901. We found it out at Wacol in 1983. At that stage, it's been used for a dog kennel in the back of a house. This would be a very expensive project, this one. The tram's fairly dilapidated, but it's fairly complete too.
Where would you get the bits and pieces from to do it?
You'd have to make them yourself. It'd be the only way now.
Do you do a lot of that sort of thing?
Well, we have to usually because the parts just aren't available anymore.
What is it about trams? Why do people fall in love with them?
Oh, well, this is an imponderable question, really. It's just one of those things. Why did you marry your wife? You know, it's one of those sort of things. It's very hard to answer and quantify.
What are the chances of the trams making a comeback?
I'd say we'll see if they do come back, we'll see something similar to what they're running in Melbourne at the moment, although it'll be very modern, using modern technology and modern equipment. It won't be a DC traction system, it'll probably be an AC traction system with brand new equipment, all that sort of thing, similar to what Melbourne's running now.
What about these trams? Could they ever make a comeback?
These trams probably wouldn't make a comeback because of the technology that they're based on, in the fact that they're not as efficient electrically and mechanically as the new ones are these days that they can build.
Would you like to see them do it?
I'd have to say yes.
What about you, Danny? What do you think?
Absolutely. Any city needs a modern transport system, and trams are the best people mover yet invented by man.
Why did you marry your wife, indeed? That's it from us tonight. Until tomorrow, stay on the rails. Good night.
This car boarding for Valley Junction, board. Thank you.